Hello, Dragons. My name is David Malinsky. I'm the director of a company called Yaki Box Limited, and I've put together this product to communicate casual Japanese food to the masses. This is it, treasure chest of Japanese stuff. All of it authentic, all of it fine quality from Japan. It's that sort of product. Open it up. First thing that strikes you is the dipping sauces, dipping bowls, and chopsticks. This is what you need for the style of cooking called yakiniku, based upon thinly sliced meat and vegetables, cooked on a stone hot plate, dipped in sauces and eaten. Cook, dip, eat, and repeat till full. That's the idea of that. Next layer in the treasure chest are the rice balls, spare gas can, and Japanese toothpicks. Next thing, stone hot plate, which is what you cook on, and this is a really good quality stone hot plate from Japan. Lastly, the gas stove, which is what it all sits upon. So you end up with everything in the box like that, and you all sit round the table and enjoy it. Any questions so far?
David, can we taste some of this food?
You can indeed, yes. If you'd like me to cook you some, I'm prepared to do that.
Yes, please.
David has brought along everything he needs to cook for the Dragons, and he's hoping that'll convince them to part with £100,000.
David, hello. I'm Peter.
Hi there. Nice to meet you, Peter.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. You said you travelled. What have you done? Where did you get the idea from? Obviously, Japan.
I first went to Japan with my school in Durham. We did an exchange visit there, and I just fell in love with the place. And I said, right, as soon as I finish my exams, I'm off to Japan. And that's what I did. I lived with my original Japanese teacher's uncle. One evening, he brought out this contraption. And I was like, what are we going to do? Oh, that's raw? All the meat's raw? I was like, what? Surely you don't eat raw meat.
So that's where you got the idea
beef as well, yeah. And basically got the idea from that eureka moment. I thought, got to get this back to the UK.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the product now. You've packaged it, you've got it ready. How many packs have you sold and at what price?
I've sold 100 sets, and that retails at £79.95.
And what does it cost?
It costs £42.34.
So you've made £3,700.
That's correct.
That's not going to change your life.
It's not.
So I gave you £100,000, it would change your life, would it?
Ever so slightly, yes, it would, yes.
Carry on cooking.
Yes, indeed, that's very hard to... Yeah.
One of the key things of being a true entrepreneur is the fact that you can do more than one thing at once. So.
Okie dokie.
With only 100 sales and small profits, David needs to prove to the Dragons that he can turn his business around. But he has to cook and convince at the same time. And Peter Jones is putting on the pressure.
How many of those do you think you're going to sell in this year?
Right, year one.
David, please don't stop. We're going to be hungry.
Okay, right. Blimey O'Reilly.
So year one, David, just the numbers I want now.
Through professional cook shops, I hope to sell 1,300 units.
1,300 to professional cook shops. Where else are you going to sell them to?
Wedding lists is a big potential market for this.
Keep cooking.
Yes,
How many to the wedding lists?
Keep cooking, David.
580 is what I've calculated on a very cautious scale, so it could be more.
David's conservative sales forecast is unlikely to persuade the Dragons to part with any cash, but at least they like the design of his product.
Can I just say how wonderful I think the packaging is of your product?
Thank you very much.
I think it's some of the best packaging I have seen, the way it's all put together.
Great.
It's a lovely experience to see that it's very Japanese and it's
superb.
I do. But take the compliment and don't stop.
But keep going.
So you package these themselves, you get the individual items brought in.
It's a cottage industry, yes.
So all you do is put it in the box.
Effectively, I add value by collecting the items together and communicating the instructions, making the product desirable.
David, you're oil steaming, smoking. I hate to say that. Does that mean it's about to get on fire?
No, it's on minimum, so it's
David,
just...
you haven't got any intellectual rights on this. You just put a whole lot of products together. So you're asking me for £100,000 because you managed to do a supermarket sweep with a trolley, put some stuff nicely in a box.
Yeah.
And for that, you want 100 grand.
Yes.
Doesn't sound like a deal.
It's not looking good for David. Without owning the right to his Yaki box, he'll be unable to prevent competitors launching their own versions and stealing his customers. Doug Richard has other questions.
David,
Yes.
if I invested £100,000 in your business, how far would that take you?
Initially, I'd spend sort of £20,000 to really get a good handle on the market, both from the trade point of view and the public point of view. That would give us a marker to think, is there really enough market there to justify spending £100,000?
Don't you know that already?
Well, I believe so, but...
So suppose you spend £20,000 and we find out there isn't enough market there. What do you do next?
Well, this is when we discuss it again and say, look, if there's just no market there, we'd need to sit down and say, well...
So we sit down and have a grown-up discussion?
I guess so, yeah.
Who
wants to try this?
Do you want us to come up there to try
If you don't mind, yeah. Is that all right, or should I?
I will smell it.
The dragons are picking holes in David's business, but he's hoping his yakiniku cooking will turn his fortunes round.
Could I see you eat one first?
It's a bit tough there.
Is it? Probably been cooked too long, I would
What
say.
is it?
You literally just 10 seconds either side, and that's enough.
Absolutely lovely.
Seriously, I'm pleased to hear that.
What did I just eat?
That was pork, thinly sliced pork. And
Oh, I
you
don't
dipped it
really
in...
like pork.
The dragons are enjoying David's Japanese cooking, but will this be enough to persuade them to invest £100,000?
David, I want to say where I am. I've really enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah.
Food's great. The idea is brilliant.
Thank you.
But I think that it is just a grill in a box. And we all know it can be easily ripped off by any high street chain. I think you present really well probably on QVC. But for me, as an investment to make a return, with the numbers that we've even looked at, it doesn't stack up. And unfortunately, I'm not going to invest today.
Sorry to hear that, Peter.
David, I just don't see how you're going to grow it to be more than a lifestyle business. You can continue to invent new packaging, stay one in front, keep new novelty coming. But I just don't see how one could put money in and get money out. So for me, it's not an investment today.
Peter Jones and Doug Richard are both out, and David's hopes for the £100,000 are collapsing. Only 3 dragons remain.
David, I'll help you along here. I've tried very hard to think of a really good business reason to invest in you, other than I like you and I felt I would love to do something with you. I'm afraid I haven't got one, so I will not be making an investment.
I'm sorry to hear that, Theo.
David, my biggest concern is I can't see it selling fast enough. I don't see a big enough market. And so for that reason, I'm afraid I'm not going to invest in you, and so I'm out.
Sorry to hear that.
4 dragons have all said no to David's bid for cash, and he's now in a desperate situation. Only Rachel Elnor remains.
David, I think that this is one of those kind of strange products, like it's like a fondue set. You may get it for a wedding and you use it once and then it goes back in the cupboard. And I think even if it takes off, all that will happen is you'll get every single cook shop going to Japan and importing them direct and putting together their own sets, because you've got nothing unique here. And whilst I think you're passionate and you love Japanese cooking, I think it's a very vulnerable business. So I wouldn't invest, and I'm out.
I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you very much for your time anyway.
David's dreams of riches have come to nothing. The dragons may have loved his Japanese cooking, but when it came down to it, he just couldn't convince them there was a big enough market for his yaki box.
Now that is a fun way of presenting product, isn't it?
It was. He did a great...
And your point, QVC, probably shift a lot on QVC.
I think he would be fantastic on QVC or home shopping.
He's done well to get it what it is, though.
Done brilliant.
The food is excellent.
Ah, David, they really liked you. Not enough to give you the 100,000.
I know, it's such a shame. I think they all love the product. They love the food. They like me, which is great. I really...
I mean, it was tough for you there. You were having to cook. We have a lot of people who get the numbers wrong, but you were trying to cook at the same time.
I think what I should have probably done in retrospect was concentrate on getting the business model across instead of trying to wow them with a presentation and getting food to them. I think I possibly bit off a bit more in terms of the presentation, with it being just me. But I should have got that business model across, because I do believe in it.
There was no shortage of other innovative ideas to tempt the dragons. Next up was Frank Lear, who was showing off his chocolate photographs.
we can take almost any picture and reproduce it in chocolate. Simply hold it up to the light, you'll see the hidden picture.
But Duncan Bannatyne soon discovered a flaw.
That screen you have there looks pretty impressive, but that doesn't reflect how this looks. And it says reveal the hidden picture.
Yeah.
I can actually see the picture, so it's not hidden.
The consumer response is they do that, and that's when they say that is absolutely amazing.
But that's not what the Dragons thought.
I personally don't think it's a very impressive product.
I don't really like white chocolate because it's not really chocolate, is it? Can you do this in brown chocolate?
No.
Peter Jones sent him packing.
If I was to give you £150,000, I think the only thing that would happen to my money is it would melt. I won't be investing in your business, and I'm out.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
A classic mistake in Dragon's Den is for entrepreneurs to overvalue their company, reject an offer of investment, and walk away with nothing. Will Gary and Lindsay Shuttleworth from Derbyshire even get that far? They're looking for an investment of £150,000.
Hello, my name's Gary Shuttleworth. This is my wife, Lindsay. We're here today representing the Canine 2 Co, who manufacture and supply a revolutionary new pooper scooper called the Canine 2. The Canine 2 is a pooper scooper that utilises a revolutionary rubber picking device. And if you see those fingers actually mimic the gripping of the fingers of your hand. And what this enables me to do is I can pick up and put down objects without bending down. Now, if I protect the Canine 2 with a plastic bag, I can actually still continue to pick. The bag turns itself inside the device, the handles come round to enable me to seal the bag with a knot. The bag comes out clean, the device remains clean. So in summary, it reduces the need to bend and can be used at home, in the garden or on a walk. If used on a walk, all you have to do is clip it to the strap and the cap. The bags can be stored inside the device until a suitable bin becomes available. Thank you very much.
Gary and Lindsay are offering a 10% share in their pooper scooper in return for an investment of £150,000. But dog owner Doug Richard is not impressed.
Gary, Lindsay, you have set a new record. The single most over-engineered solution to a problem I've ever seen. Now, perhaps it's my failure, but I mean, I have a dog. I take it for walks. I will never wear that Ghostbusters device to pick up poop for my dog. And bending over, it's not the end of the world. I'm sorry, guys, it's a dog of an idea. I'm out.
It's a disastrous start for Gary and Lindsay. Doug Richard is convinced that their high-tech pooper scooper will never catch on and has already declared himself out. Gary and Lindsay will have to fight to keep the rest of the Dragons interested.
Gary, talk me through some prices.
The cost price is £22.77.
Retail price?
We're pitching at £29.99 for what we call a garden version and £35.99, which is the portable version. Unfortunately, the cost to actually manufacture in the UK prohibits the profit margins that we need to realise.
Guys, I've got a little dog and I bought a little thing, little plastic thing with a bag. It's a contraption, so you put the bag over the thing and you go, and you need to do the same thing, throw it away. And I think it cost a £5.
That's right. Our competition is either a very cheap device or free bags.
What price can you produce it elsewhere?
We've had indicative prices from Taiwan at £15 box delivered.
From my point of view, 15 quid would have to be the actual retail price, never mind the cost price, giving the retailer his margin, giving you your margin, and because of that, I just can't see an investable opportunity, so I'm out.
The high price of Gary and Lindsay's product has cost them the interest of Theo Paphitis. Other dragons have also been put off.
Guys, it's a very expensive product, and I just can't see it being viable compared to the £5 alternative, so I'm out.
You've just so overcomplicated a problem by having this device with all the spikes on it. There's easier ways of doing it and simpler ways of doing it, cheaper ways of doing it. And really, it's just not a business for me, so I'm out.
With 4 dragons refusing to put any of the £150,000 into Gary and Lindsay's pooper scooper, their situation is grim. Now all their hopes hang on the decision of Peter Jones.
I absolutely think the product is brilliant.
Thank you.
My dog poos all over our damn garden. It drives me mad. So much so that I wait for a friend of mine to come round because he's got a dog at his house and he goes out with a plastic bag and picks up all the poo. I can't go near it. I just cannot go near it. This, what a device. I think that it's easy to laugh and smile at an invention like this, but I think this is a really good alternative to bending down and picking up yourself.
Peter Jones has amazed the rest of the dragons by showing huge enthusiasm for Gary and Lindsay's product. Can they persuade him to invest the £150,000 they need?
What is the best-selling product of this type of invention in the marketplace? Because that would be critical to me to be able to evaluate whether this is an investment or not.
Can I ask Lindsay to give you some marketing background on statistics of the dog fouling?
In the UK, there are 6.7 million dogs spread amongst 5.1 million house owners. 4.3 million people don't pick up after their dog.
Sorry to cut you there, Lindsay, but I can't find a way of investing in you without knowing how many of the £5 product that's out there in the market have sold in this country.
Pedigree produce it. I actually don't know the sales that that item actually.
For me to be in, I've got to have that stat, and if I can't have that stat, I can't invest. So, unfortunately, I don't think you can give it to me. So I'm going to cut it short and say, look, great, fantastic. We want more of these things because I think these are innovations. I love it, but I'm out. I'm not going to invest if you can't give me the number.
Gary and Lindsay have blown it. With the interest from Peter Jones, they were in with a chance, but without the essential knowledge of the market, he wasn't prepared to invest.
Well, Gary, Lindsay, Peter liked it. He'll obviously buy one at least.
I should be.
It would solve his problem.
But I mean, so you must have been glad, at least when he came in,
Yes.
and sort of turned it round a bit for you, didn't he?
He did try to turn the tide around for me, but like I say, it was a shame that the other dragons came out so quickly because I didn't have time to explain fully how much of a global market this actually could be.
Other entrepreneurs who did want the dragon's cash included Darren Bainbridge, who came up with his hip clip, a holster to keep your drink by your side.
You put it on your hip, drink from the thing, any size bottle will go into it, and it keeps your hands free.
It wasn't one for Duncan Bannatyne.
Look, I think if I got this in a Christmas cracker, I'd be disappointed. I just don't see why anybody would want one.
But it was Darren, not his idea, that failed to cut it with the rest of the dragons.
Why don't you just go and get the orders? That's what you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because why don't you just do it?
It's just too much for me to do on my own, I have to be honest.
I think the biggest issue is the fact that you haven't got off your backside. You've made the product, get in front of somebody and sell it.
OK, thanks.
Robin Harris hoped his watercraft, the reef ski, would get the dragons on side.
Designed to take people both on the surface of the water at speed and also transform into a streamlined submersible.
Why doesn't the driver drown?
The driver doesn't drown because they actually fit scuba equipment.
Right.
It wasn't just the thought of drowning that scared the dragons off.
Do you have any idea of how much you're going to have to sell this for?
£30,400.
This price you've just quoted here has just completely sunk your proposition.
Okay.
I've just absolutely no desire to invest in it, so I'm out.
Barbara Scott and Steve Atkinson wanted cash for their organic face and body products.
Circaroma and manufacture exceptionally high quality natural skincare.
Doug Richard wanted to know what was in it for him.
How much money do you expect me to make, and when do you expect me to make it?
I expect you to make it within 5 years, and I would expect you to take out an additional 20%.
So that would be slightly underneath what I can get in my current account.
And when Theo Pafitis asked if they had debts, Steve dropped a bombshell.
The total losses to date are 240,000.
Boy, you need some help. Fast.
But the dragons weren't prepared to give them any.
Nobody's going to invest in you today. It is all over. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Next into the Dragon's Den are Peter Bruin and William Crawford. They came up with their idea while studying industrial design at college, and they need £80,000 to turn it into a business.
Hello, I'm Peter Bruin, and this is my colleague, William Crawford. We're here to raise £80,000. The product is called Concrete Canvas. It's a rapidly deployable emergency shelter. Its primary uses are in the humanitarian and the military sectors.
So what is Concrete Canvas? How does it work? Well, simply, it's a building in a bag. You can see in front of you two 1/8 scale working prototypes. It consists of an inflatable plastic inner with a concrete cloth on the outside. Now, this shelter comes folded and sealed in a plastic sack like this one. Once that sack's at the site of deployment, it's filled with water. The fibres of the cloth draw the water into the cement. Once the cement's hydrated, that sack's opened, and then you activate a chemical pack, and that inflates your shelter. 12 hours later, you've got a hardened concrete shelter providing 16 square metres of sterilisable floor space.
The questions, please.
Peter and William want their concrete shelter in a bag to replace the tents currently used by charities in the military in disaster areas and war zones. They need the money to build a full-scale version.
Peter and William, my name's Theo. Hi, welcome. Hi. That model you've got there, is it a working model?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can get it to work?
We can't wet this one and deploy it now.
You can't?
The reason being that we've deployed it 8 times in the last 2 weeks, and these things are only designed to be deployed once, so I wouldn't be confident that it would work first time.
Right, OK.
It collapses down after you've used it, or...?
No, once the concrete's set, it's set. You can't collapse it.
It's just there
it's
wherever
a permanent structure.
Right.
But most tents are there for a short period of time. You can take a tent down, you can move the tent to somewhere else. You can't move this.
What we saw during the field research is that the tents are very rarely taken down. The reason being that they're pretty wrecked once they've been used, and the cost of recovering the tent far exceeds its value at that point.
What do you do with the ends? How does the ends fill in?
Well, there's 2 solutions what we can do with doorways. I mean, the cloth would create
the
a door.
Cloth?
This concrete cloth.
Right.
This outer skin.
Okay.
So we can either integrate a doorway into the
so you'd have
plastic inner.
so that the new model would have covered ends as well.
Covered ends with a section which you could cut away for the doorway.
Right.
You wouldn't have these large open ends, so it's not entirely as it would appear in full scale.
Peter and William have pitched an idea in its earliest stage of development. To invest now would be an enormous risk. Rachel Elnor has come to a decision.
I think there's a million miles from having a great innovative product, which you've clearly got, and actually making it into a viable business. So whether you can actually translate this innovation into a successful business would be the big question mark for me. So I'm out.
Peter, Will, I just don't think this business is going to work. And so for that reason, I'm sorry, I'm not going to invest in you, and so I'm out.
2 dragons are already out. With so much still to be done, Theo Paphitis wants to know how they plan to spend the £80,000 they've come for.
You're asking for £80,000. What are you going to use it for?
That initial set of funding will enable us to build 5 full-scale prototypes. That's at £4,000 per shelter. 34,000 will pay our salaries. And then there's rental of warehouse facilities, overheads, and capital expenditure.
I don't understand why you've come in front of me and you've asked me to pay your wages. I don't get it.
Okay, let me explain. The £80,000, that is the cost required to develop it to the point where we have...
Well, it's not. It's not. It's the cost of your. It's the cost of your salaries. You've rental of a warehouse or an office. Why is that important when you can go and spend £4,000 and get a working prototype and test it properly?
I mean, the salary is that's a salary of £18,000 per year. We need to live.
You need to live.
Yep.
Do you not need that product to work so you can live?
Peter and William have disappointed Peter Jones, who thinks they're going to completely waste his money.
Totally unproven. Looks great as a sort of a model. Be brilliant if you saw Action Man in the middle of it. But apart from that, that's all it is, and it's a concept. Innovative, yes. The way that you've gone about raising the money and what you're going to do with it, don't buy into it, and for those reasons, I won't be investing either.
With most of the Dragons utterly unconvinced by Peter and William's idea, it looks like they're in real trouble. But luckily for them, Doug Richard takes a different view.
I'm fascinated. I think this is a very, very interesting concept. I think that the path you've taken so far is the sort of path I like to see someone take in developing a product. So I'm interested.
Unexpectedly, Doug Richard has spotted potential in the idea and can see a lucrative market for it. But an investment now would be a huge risk, so he'll want a lot more than the 10% Peter and William are offering.
£80,000 doesn't buy me 10%. So I'd be willing to put up £40,000 for 25% of the equity.
Guys, before you give Doug an answer, I like it, it's innovative, it's new. It's an Anderson shelter made out of plaster cast, basically, but using cement instead of plaster. Simple. How do you get it up there? You inflate it. Simple. All the best ideas are simple. Whether they work or not is the problem here. So to offer 10% for £80,000 does not give good value. So I will tell you, I will take the other half for that 25%.
Remarkably, Peter and William have been offered the £80,000 they came for, but they'll have to compromise if they want to complete a deal.
We can't come in anywhere near that equity stake. We'll go to 12%, I'm afraid we're going no higher.
Going from 10 to 12 isn't what I would call a big movement.
If you were to invest in us, what would you bring other than by providing the initial funding?
That's a reasonable question. I know where a lot of things can go wrong in bringing products to market. So I guess the best I could offer would be general business experience of starting companies.
And do you have any experience in our potential markets?
Experience in building concrete Anderson shelters? No. What I have got a huge amount of experience in is starting businesses, running businesses, and selling the product that businesses create.
Very sorry, I mean, your experience would be really, really useful. But at this stage for us, we need to bring in someone who's more aligned with the markets we're approaching, who can bring more in terms of experience in that direction. So I'm afraid that's the reason why we're very unmovable at the equity at this stage. But thank you very much for your time and also for your advice. You've given us an awful lot to think about.
With confidence rarely seen in the Dragon's Den, Peter and William have turned the offer down, leaving to seek investment elsewhere.
Peter, Will, was there any stage where you thought you might accept that offer?
It was far too low, really. I mean, at this stage, it's unreasonable, it's unrealistic. We can't work with that kind of giving away that much to the company at this stage.
Next to face the dragons is Jonathan Astor from London. Now, he's making a good living from his business, but he wants £100,000 from the dragons to turn it into something much bigger. Remember, he has to get at least that amount, or he goes away with nothing.
Hello. My name is Jonathan Astor. I'm here to present my company, The Ambient All Stars. I set up my company 3.5 years ago, off the back of just an idea that just came to me. That idea was simply advertising on the back of courier bikes, predominantly in the London area. And I was one of the first people to advertise on smart cars, using it as a media. Naturally, being an innovator and an entrepreneur, I've enjoyed working within ambient media. Ambient media is the generic term for anything that's deemed to be innovative, creative, and non-traditional. One final piece is something that I'm developing as a clean ad. This idea here is quite simple in the terms that we take a stencil, we place it on a street, we apply a high-pressure hose over it, we remove the stencil, and by lifting dirt off the street, we leave an impression on the street. So it becomes an environmentally friendly advertisement. I'm looking for investment to really take this company and project it onto the marketplace as one of the most innovative, non-traditional niche media specialists in the UK.
Jonathan wants £100,000 to build his offbeat advertising agency, and in return, he's offering 15% of the company.
Jonathan, hi, I'm Rachel.
Hi.
The immediate thing, having dealt with lots of creative agencies and media planning ones, they're notoriously difficult to scale, aren't they? Because they're all about ideas and innovation. The investment, therefore, is in you, and I'm just struggling to see what the investment opportunity is.
You're right, it does centre around me at this minute in time. A large part of the investment will go towards creative support. In 5 years' time, what I want to do is selling off a very niche crack team within ambient media to a large media group. So the knowledge will be passed on. At the moment...
It's not about knowledge, though, is it, Jonathan? It's about creative innovation. So if you go under a bus, there's a serious problem.
There's an immediate problem. I mean, I didn't plan for being run over by a bus.
Answering back to Rachel Elnor is not the best way to win investment. Unlike Jonathan, she thinks a business based entirely on his creative ideas is high risk. Duncan Bannatyne has different questions.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
2004 turnover and profit.
Is £125,000. Profit on that is £65,000.
Turnover 125, made 65,000. Was that before your wages or after your wages?
That is something that I've taken as my salary.
Right. Were there any employees? Did you employ anybody else?
No.
Jonathan, where are we going with this? I mean, you're a one-man band. The salary that you've earned over the last 3 years is way, way below what a senior executive in an agency would be earning anyway.
I'm sure that's not right. the central point of what you're trying to say. I don't agree with that, but maybe that's not your point. Sorry.
Well, please agree with it, because until recently I owned a very successful one, so I know what I was paying my people.
Sure, of course.
Right, so I know exactly what they were earning. They would have been earning a lot more than this. Now, cars have been around, taxis have been around. I was advertising on cars and taxis 1990, 91.
Sure.
So it's not new. I'm not sure where we're going with it. What you've got that's, other than, I'm Jonathan, I'm a great guy, back me.
I appreciate your point on the agency salaries. If you own an agency, you're aware of salaries, so I apologise for that. I still don't agree with it, but that's totally irrelevant. In terms of the actual concept here, it's not taxi advertising. Different. It is a transport media and serves a similar purpose, but it's not that. You can frown and pull a face at it. I would never ever pull that face because I have confidence in what I've started. That doesn't mean that I don't respect your opinion. I do. I'm just trying to be fair with you.
Do not respect my opinion.
No,
right?
Sure. I don't want to come across as confrontational with you because I respect your opinion.
Listen, not a problem, mate.
Fine. That's good.
Not a problem. Let me finish.
Sure.
No problem. Right. I would rather stick pins in my eyes and invest in this. So on that basis, I'm out.
Yeah, in which case, considering that's your term of speaking, I don't want to be rude to you. I don't think that's the way to conduct. I wouldn't want you to work with you. So I'm happy to rule you out, but I wish you best of luck in what.
Likewise.
Jonathan's refusal to accept any criticism has antagonised Theo Paphitis. With one dragon already out, will Doug Richard follow suit?
Jonathan, fundamentally, I have absolutely no idea how this would translate into a scalable investment.
Okay.
Period. Literally, I cannot imagine how. And the exit opportunity is selling a team of people, notoriously hard to do. And I don't see how I'd ever make money on it, so I won't invest.
I think that's a far more pleasant way of responding to that, and I appreciate your comments.
Jonathan is losing the dragons rapidly. Can he persuade Duncan Bannatyne, Rachel Elnor or Peter Jones to put in the £100,000 he needs?
If there was a choice of sticking pins and needles in my eyes or investing in you, I would invest in you. But if it's a choice between standing in the shower and letting the money drip away and investing in you, I'd be stuck. I wouldn't know which way to go. I mean, you're a one-man band, and even the one man in the band fights with everybody who's considering an investment in them.
I cannot agree. As I mentioned before, I don't mean to be confrontational, but at the end of the day...
You are confrontational, whether you mean to be or not. And that's the reason I wouldn't invest in you or your company.
That's fine with me.
Determined to stand his ground, Jonathan is alienating the dragons one by one. Can he keep himself in check with Rachel Elnor and Peter Jones?
I'm Peter.
Hi, Peter.
I'm pleased to say that you've clearly dressed up for the occasion today. It obviously means a lot to you to be here.
Which it does.
And dressing like that certainly doesn't appeal to me. So first off, you've already instantly got my back up, which only means one thing. It means that unless you've got a fantastic business and a great pitch, you're not going to get me in. And what you haven't got is a great pitch. You've given nothing away that actually would suggest that you've got a business here that's going to make money, apart from perhaps feather your own cap and put money in your pocket, which clearly you need because you couldn't afford a suit today.
I'm not used to ignore that comment. I think it's nonsensical. It has
it's
no...
nonsensical. I tell you what.
It goes right through me.
Well, let me explain to you that it's not nonsensical for one reason and one reason only. I'm not asking you for money. You're asking me for money. And had you known that it's about presentation for Peter Jones, to get my first interest, that's how I gauge it. Because you get one chance and one chance only, and you blew it for me.
I don't want to be judged for my clothes that I wear. It's how I live my life.
OK. You haven't given me anything that's innovative. I can't see the business ever making money. I'm not going to invest in you today.
That's fair enough. Thank you.
Jonathan, this isn't an investment, is it? You are a creative innovator, and there are loads of really small, successful agencies or medium-sized agencies, and really that's your niche. But this isn't an investment proposition, and I think that's the problem today.
That's fair enough.
So I'm out, I'm afraid.
It's all over for Jonathan, who endured one of the most savage confrontations yet in the Dragon's Den.
That guy is prickly. Talk about...
But that's his world. That's how they all are in that world.
It's his world. His world's the world of business.
When you tell him something he disagrees with, and
can you imagine him saying that to the
tells
client?
you you're wrong, and you know for a fact.
But that's how they are. That's how they're like with the clients.
Rachel, believe it or not, I've actually spent a little bit on marketing and advertising in my life, and you know, some of them are better than him.
Well, you didn't get the money, obviously. It was quite a prickly confrontation, really, wasn't it?
I didn't mean to obviously come across confrontation. Obviously, I've got the greatest respect for 5 very successful people. But there's no reason why I should sell myself short, because they shouldn't really intimidate me by something that I feel to be irrelevant.
So when you answered Theo back, what were you feeling? Were you cross? Were you in control at that stage?
I wasn't feeling at all angry or violent. I'm not an angry or violent person. I didn't feel anything. I just felt that just seems the right thing to say now. Yeah. I looked him in the eye, and I just wanted him to know that even though I respect his opinion, I've got a big respect for what I do.
Others who suffered at the hands of the Dragons included Rob Bookham, who wanted to increase production of his fresh pasta.
Invest in us today, we will go from 20 kilos an hour to 200 kilos per hour.
His pitch for £95,000 baffled the Dragons.
I just wanted to get to the grips of why you need this money, Rob. I mean, is it just some pasta making machine that costs 95 grand?
Yeah.
They thought investment from them wasn't what he needed.
If you walked into a new bank and said, "Hi, I got a business, I got a need for a loan," ta-da.
I want more than just a bank loan.
What do you want?
To lay the cards on the table, I'm not good on the financial side.
No one in their right mind is going to give you £95,000 and then spend their valuable time running the business for you. You're wasting our time, aren't you?
Helen and Lisa Tsay tried to tempt the Dragons with their Chinese ready meals.
Just picture this. Have you ever come home hungry, tired, stressed, alone? Well, our meal would make you smile.
But Peter Jones wasn't smiling.
I don't see how you could sell this and compete with the supermarkets out there unless you differentiate yourself, and you haven't.
We do differentiate from the supermarkets because we are an authentic Chinese brand.
If this is your differentiator and you don't even put it on the packaging, I'd say you've missed a trick.
You're not different. It's not a business. It's not going to take off. And for those reasons, I'm out.
Larry Thompson and Ron Vigner were pitching a system to stop people making pirate copies of films with camcorders at the cinema.
It projects a pattern onto the screen, and the way it's projected, cameras can see it, but people can't see it.
Theo Paphitis got straight to the problem.
One cinema that switches off the system on one showing gives the crooks what they want.
They can't switch it off. Well, you can, but it's reported.
Of course you can. It is probably the worst investment opportunity I have had for years and years and years. I'm out.
The Dragons have suffered the odd business failure on their way to making it big, but they say they've learnt from their mistakes. Well, here are two people who've pitched and failed before in the Dragon's Den. This is what happened last time.
My name is Graham Whitby, and I'm the Managing Director of Baby Dream Machine Limited. I'm Barry Egg, the inventor who invented this. We're here today looking for £150,000. Oh dear, no, I can't do it.
Leaving aside your obvious nervousness, do you put a baby in this thing and do they fall asleep?
Yes.
You don't have to sell the concept to us. I think we're all with you. We've all got children.
I think the product's fantastic.
The Dragons loved the idea, and Duncan Bannatyne and Doug Richard started putting in offers.
How much of your business are you offering me for it?
We're offering 5% equity in the business.
But their pitch started to unravel when Graham and Barry put a value on their company.
We anticipate that we'll be selling out the business in the order of about 600 million.
That would be nice if it was possible. I don't think it's possible. I think that's a bit...
But that's what our figures are showing us.
You're not going to make £600 million out of this product.
If I invested, I can't afford to have you run the business.
In the end, their naive approach to the business meant the Dragons couldn't trust them with their cash.
I'm not going to be involved.
I won't be investing.
You just lost my interest. I'm out.
Well, Graham and Barry are back, and they're now asking for £250,000. Can they do better this time?
Well, well, well. Is it possible?
Out of all of the people in my life that I ever expected not to see again, it was you two.
So you haven't sold the business for 600 million yet, then?
Working on it.
Right.
Working on it. The last time we came, we had a prototype. I mean, it was just made of metal. It was something that I'd made. Since then, we've done design, we've got manufacturing set up, and we have now got product. There's the machine. It goes 15 minutes on a slow speed. And if I press that button again, it'll go 15 minutes on a faster speed. So it's got two speeds. We made it so it goes up and over like this. And most babies, when they're on it, their eyes go like this, and away they go off to sleep. There's a carrying handle here. Just picks up, it's nice and light. Put it in boat car, take it out of your mum's, take it on holiday. And it's all CE marked and everything. OK, that's enough. Right, just a very short film if I can, entertain you with a very short film. Within 30 seconds, we've been able to get a baby off to sleep. And I'll demonstrate that now. There is a bit of noise.
Machine switched off. Switch the machine on now, so it's rocking. And asleep. You can still see the machine, you can hear the machine going, baby flat out. That's the impact that we're seeing from a lot of parents. I'll just switch this off a little bit. So we need the money to help us boost the market situation. We need a massive drive to market now. Thank you. Any questions?
The last time Graham and Barry pitched, they asked for £150,000. Now they want £250,000 to make their dream machine a reality. But they must get all the money they're asking for, or they'll leave without a penny.
Barry, Graham, my name's Theo. We haven't met before, but I'm aware you've been roasted by the dragons before. What would you think would have happened if you'd have had some of these people with loads of business nous involved in your business?
Would have been absolutely roller coasting.
Money would be pouring in.
Yep. But we're now patent granted. We're fully CE certified, so it's gone through an independent test house, fully safety approved. The manufacturer is completely set up in Hungary, and we've got product that we can fulfill orders on. So any investor coming in now is coming in with a very, very low risk investment.
When they last pitched their dream machine, Graham and Barry only had a prototype to tempt the dragons. With the product now ready to go to market, they seemed confident. But Duncan Bannatyne is about to burst their bubble.
I've got a couple of issues. Let's see if we are interested, okay?
Okay.
We told you the last time that if you didn't take an investment, you didn't move quick enough, somebody else would come up with something similar and it'd be in the market and you would lose your exclusivity. And that has happened.
You're on about RoboPacks.
What's the RoboPack?
Competitor.
It's a machine that's about this big, and it just goes to and fro like that.
No, it's a machine you put under a pram and it rocks the baby to sleep.
Never seen any evidence of it getting a baby to sleep, but we are aware that there's a competition in the marketplace. I see RoboPacks doing us a great favour, because what they're doing is putting a lot of money into the concept of marketing the principle of rocking a baby's pushchair. So that's what they're doing. Sorry, Doug. Yeah.
Are you actually going to stand there and tell me that there is no impact of a competitor in the market?
Well, no, no way do I think that that's not a risk. It's a massive risk.
Graham?
No. Sorry, all right.
I'm on my way out so fast.
Yeah. Can I just try and pull you back in if I can?
No.
No.
No, you see, it's kind of too late.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, what I said to you last time was, you have a product that, so far as we both knew at the time, had no competitors on the market, and you left me with the impression we would have an advantage to market, and I said the only way I can see it happening is if professional management comes aboard. Today, a competitor has entered the market, and those reasons alone are enough for me not to invest. I'm out.
Last time, Doug Richard made Graham and Barry an offer, so losing him is a major setback. They're asking for £250,000 in return for 10% of the company. But have they lost Duncan Bannatyne as well?
You know, I love this product so much.
Yeah.
I really think I could do something with it, but it's a big, and I couldn't spend the time on my own dealing with you two. It would drive me round the bend. So what would happen now if I made you an offer and said I didn't want you two managing the company?
You can confer.
Yeah, I know. We are actually in eye contact.
I don't mind just getting on with development. I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
Right, okay, so I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to see where we go from there. I'm going to offer you £50,000 for 10% of the company.
At 25%.
Barry, you've got verbal diarrhea sometimes. But I don't know if they're going to back my offer, but I'm telling you now, will you accept an offer that equates to £250,000 for 50% of shareholding, and I'm offering you £50,000 for 10%.
It's too much. It is too much, yeah.
It's too much, but I don't know what to do.
Barry and Graham, I'm going to help you, because I like the sound of Duncan's offer. The bit that I liked was the fact that you two would not be running the business. I will invest 50,000 for 10% of the equity and the management change.
Against the odds, Graham and Barry have been offered £100,000. If they manage to raise the other 150,000, they'll have a deal. But they'll have to give away half the company and step back from running the business. Duncan Bannatyne wants to convince them that it's a good offer.
What do you see the price we sell the company for? In either 2 years, 3 years, pick any time you want.
Over 10, 12 million.
10, 12 million. So in 3, 4 or 5 years' time, you walk away with £5 or £6 million if you take the offer today.
What do you think?
Can we do 40?
Can we?
No, the
Can we just wait 1
percentage is
second?
not negotiable for me.
It's not negotiable.
I
So you take over completely?
Absolutely, totally.
Right.
And what happens to me and a fellow director who's put a lot of 2 years into this? My concern is that I've put a lot of graft in this.
You get your
and I've still
percentage.
got my shares in the company.
I don't care.
But
Who owns,
I've just got a feeling I'm going to
I
get
don't care who
whitewashed
owns
here.
the other 50%, but I want 50% between me and the other investor.
Right. We'll go for it.
You're the man.
In desperation, Graham and Barry have agreed to the terms of the deal, but they still have £150,000 left to find. Can they persuade Peter Jones or Rachel Elnor to put up the rest of the money?
Right. So can we raise the 250,000?
Rachel?
I'll tell you where I am, guys. You came to us a year ago. You said, yeah, we're going to sell this product and here's the retail price and yardie-da, and it's going to go sky high and we're going to sell the business for 600 million, I seem to remember you saying. And actually, comparing your pitch today and your offers and your financials to some of the other people who've got investment, you're nowhere in terms of the quality of some of the people we've seen. I might back the product, but I wouldn't back you.
Okay. Peter?
But guys, I have to say, it's just unbelievable that you could even turn up in front of me and ask me for £250,000 now when you failed so badly last time at 150,000. But I'm not going to invest in your business, I'm sorry.
With no dragons left to put in offers, it looks like Graham and Barry have lost out for a second time.
So, Doug's out, 3 out, haven't done it.
Maybe you could negotiate with Theo and I to raise the amount we'll put in. Maybe we'd put some more money in.
He's just shook his head and said no.
Well, I would. I'd put £100,000 in for 20%. Now, you
Right.
need to raise the other £100,000 and you get 30% to play with.
Right. Who else is in then? Please.
Any other takers? Theo?
Could we ask you to return, Doug?
The answer is no. I'm not going to come back in, Barry.
Peter?
Guys, I'm out. I am out.
Rachel?
Very difficult business to make work. That's my view.
Theo?
I would not want to put more than £50,000 into this project.
We can't do it then.
Graham and Barry have failed in the Dragon's Den again, despite being willing to give up half their company. Even when Duncan Bannatyne tried to revive the deal, they still couldn't find enough dragons prepared to invest in them.
I don't see how they can make that product work.
I think it's too late now. It was great a year ago.
But my view was we could have got some retail out of it. But you'd have to move them right out of the way.
Graham, was it better or worse than last time?
Better in the fact that they had a lot of interest, but I still feel like I've been 10 rounds with Tyson. It was hard work.
Now, you guys have done this twice, the only people who've been in here twice. What made you think you wanted to come up again? Because you had a hard time last time.
We need some money, Evan.
Yeah,
we do need a good investor. So I'm so disappointed that we didn't get them on board. I think they could have done us a lot of good.
I suppose the bad news today was that there is now competition. It's a bit of a race, isn't it?
It was originally a negative, but in my mind, I've turned that into a positive. I just hope people buy ours rather than theirs.
There's no third go, is there?
No, there's no, that's it. No, I'm coming back.
That is it, right?
Yeah, come back without a shirt on my back next time. Yeah.
Next time on Dragon's Den.
I am not investing in you.
I think you made an absolute bloody hash of your presentation.
You're wasting my time. I'm out.
I have no intentions of investing in you, so I'm out.
We'll find out whether the people of Slough are buying into the big idea next on BBC Two. And then it's clearly the grumpiest subject of all. Christmas sets off a complete rant from the grumpy old women at 10.